Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great day today. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kareen. Anyway, today what we're going to be playing with is photo paper. Yeah, I saw this on a great video by Sasha Reed, Reede, and I thought, oh, yeah, that's really cool. So it gives you these really crisp lines, beautiful color. So we're gonna play with this today. And these are the ones that I created, but the one that I really wanted you guys to see, and I'm not even sure if it's going to show up, but you can sort of see in the background. Look at how tiny that text is. I'm trying not to blind you guys, but look at how tiny that text is, and you can still see it. I would never be able to do that with embossing powder. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to be embossing, but without having to use embossing powder. Anyway, so I'm going to put these examples to the side and we're going to get started. So the first thing, I have some photo paper. Now you can get as inexpensive as possible as you need to. You will get two different kinds of looks. This is the satin or the more matte one. If you get the glossy, you get this beautiful finish on it. It's kind of like a UFO almost. So if you don't have alcohol inks, this is a really great way to layer in color or saturate your paper, etc. Without having to have the smell of alcohol inks, which is really cool. So I think this package of 50, I think cost me like $8 or $9 on Amazon. I got it on not this Prime Day, the one in the summer. And yeah, so it's, super cheap, 4x6 size. So it's almost the right size for a card front, like a 4 1/4. Just have to trim it down a little bit. Can't go wrong with it. So I'm going to pull out one piece, okay, and the side that we want to use, I'm just going to close that up here. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it so well. But, okay, you can see here, this feels like cardstock, okay? But there is one side that is kind of shinier, has a bit of a film to it compared to the other side. So the one side is a little more dull, one side is a little more shiny. So the shiny side is the one that you want to have up. That's going to be the one that's going to absorb your ink the quickest, right? Okay, so I'm going to bring out my stamp platform. So the examples that I showed had background stamps. Um, yeah, so you can do it with background stamps. The other thing that we're going to be using today is Versamark or any kind of embossing ink. So if you've got Wow embossing ink or Boss or Ranger, whatever kind that you use, you need watermark stamp pad basically. So whichever one that you've got, that's what we're going to use. Okay. Um, let's get some stamps down. So I'm just going to show you how I do this. I'm only going to do one example because the key is you need to make sure that of course, your embossing ink takes a long time to dry, and you need to make sure that once you've stamped it down, before you go on to the next technique of adding the color, your ink on your card front or your photo paper needs to be dry. So I have a bunch that I stamped about an hour ago or so. Those are the ones that I'm going to play with today, but I'm just going to show you the technique of how you do this. It's very simple. If you've stamped, if you've embossed, if you've ever done this, you know what you're doing here. But we'll give it one example here. So I'm just going to put this in my stamp pad or my stamping platform here, and I have my grip mat on here. This is just you can use like an old Cricut mat or something, like cut it down so that something fits. So basically, because I want to have my stamp, if I was using a background stamp, often those are so big. See, for example, this one here, Merry Holidays, like that's so big. I need to have, um, need to have something that can grip your mat and or grip your paper and stuff like that. So I have that in here. So, but what I want to do is I'm going to do these snowflakes, and I've got these really beautiful, um, kind of these open-ended, like really linear snowflakes, and I think these are going to be so cool. So when you're putting you're kind of creating a background, what you want to remember is to try and have your items coming just off of your card a little bit, which is again why I have the sticky mat in here. You want to make sure that it looks like it's going beyond whatever your front of your card is, if that can make a little bit of sense. So you want a few of them, like if you're doing florals as well, florals or branches or any of that kind of stuff, you want it coming out because if you don't have a base for it, you want it to come in, but look like it's coming from something, it's grounded someplace. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm talking about there. Might not. Not everything that I say makes sense. Point in fact, a good lot of things that I talk about don't always make sense. So what I'm trying to do is just put these in a fairly random area, right? Like nothing's ever truly random, let's be honest. But if I can kind of scooch a couple of these in here, got a couple smaller pieces. And that one a little bit more. That. A couple small ones. Yep. And let's see here. If I were to move that one, and then put this one down there. What are we thinking? I think. Yeah, there we go. So just play with your layout until you're happy with it. Okay. And I still have, oh, look at, I have one more on there, but I used most of them, so that's okay. All right. So now I'm just going to use my stamp paper. I'm going to pick those up on the door, and I want to hold my mat here because last couple of times when I've tried picking them up, it's the stamps have been so sticky they lifted everything. All right. So now I'm just going to take my ink pad, and of course it is quite dirty because I do a lot of techniques with it. It's fine. It will still work just fine. And I'm going to ink up my stamps very well. Okay. I like to do just a bit of I like to tap it in different areas again on the stamp pad because we get used to holding it in certain areas in a certain way. And that's the part where all of the ink would be, right? So we get used to it. Okay, so now I'm just going to close the door, put a little bit of pressure, not a lot, because I don't want to blow out the lines. Because right, if I push this down, because these are just silicone stamps, so when you squish silicone, it instead of having that nice crisp solid line, it squishes, so you get a bit of a wiggly. Okay, now I'm going to lift that up, and I'm going to have a looky here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to put this to the side because it needs to dry. Okay, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Let me see if you can. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can just kind of catch where my images are. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side now and let that dry. And I'm going to put this away because we're done with the stamping platform for now. And I'm going to put my Versamark away because I'm done with that. Don't need this. Okay, now we're going to have a lot of fun. So very similar to the image that I just stamped. I did some snowflakes earlier, and I'm going to show you what these came out like. So again, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to see. Oh yeah, you can sort of see the image there, just catching the light there. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to play with two different mediums. The first one that I'm going to use is Distress Spray inks or stains. Okay. And I'm going to use these colors because they are snowflakes. And so I kind of want to make it look like a snowy, swirly sky. So the colors that I'm using are Cracked Pistachio, Wilted Violet, Mermaid Lagoon, and Blueprint Sketch. Now, if you don't have these, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how to do it with any kind of dye-based ink. But because I have these are the ones I'm going to play with. So I'm going to spray them onto my non-porous surface. So this is my glass mat. And I'm just going to spray it in a couple of areas. Now, these are not like the micas where you have to make sure that you've shooken them up. I'm just kind of holding my hand over because I'm trying not to get it too far over. Now, I've got the cracked pistachio, but I want to kind of keep that, which is kind of a greeny turquoise. I don't want it to get too close to my purple, right? And then I'm going to bring in my Chip Sapphire. There we go. Or no, sorry, not Chip Sapphire, Blueprint Sketch. Okay. Now, I'm going to give this just a little bit of a spray with some water. And now, if you don't like to get ink on your fingers, I highly recommend wearing gloves because this is going to get messy now. Okay. But some of that's kind of the fun. All right. Ooh, I appear to have some glitter someplace in the house here, someplace in my office. Which, if you know me, it's not surprising. Now, I'm going to take the side that I put the, let me see, can you see the snowflakes on there? Yeah, there we go. You can see the stamped image. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that stamped side down. And I'm just going to kind of tap it all in here. Now, any place that the ink is going to be automatically absorbed. The photo paper absorbs ink like you would not believe. Look at that. So cool. Okay, so now I've got a couple areas on the edges that still have not absorbed. So I want to drag that in just a little bit. There we go. So that's going to be one. And you can see all of those edges. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this to the side just to let it dry. Okay, whoop, whoop. There we go. Now, I still have an awful lot of ink here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more water. So by adding a little bit more water, what it does as well is it kind of lightens the colors. So especially in the area where I already stamped, or not, well, not stamped, but dragged my paper through. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to hold my paper and I'm kind of going to drag it just like this. And you're going to see where it has picked up some of that color. Okay, getting kind of a swirly motion. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Because the darkest color, your photo paper is going to pick up whatever your darkest color is, whatever color touches it first. And look at that. How cool. And I could do, if I had another piece of paper that was already done, I could do another one. Now, if I wanted, I can come in and in some of these lighter areas, if I feel like it's too light, I can touch some of this dark blue. And that will pick up on top of, but a lot of this has already saturated into my paper. So instead of like with regular cardstock, this is, it's heavier, or it has like an automatic wicking to it almost. I'm not sure how that works, but it looks really cool. So same spritzes, I didn't add any more color, and I get two different, very cool backgrounds. Look at that. So I'm just going to put those ones to the side to dry. That's so fun. I'm so happy with those. Okay, let's pull out baby wipe because, you know, we got to wipe it up. Now, as I said, like if you have a piece of cardstock or something to the side here, you could absolutely drag it through here. You could use another piece of, another piece of your photo paper, whatever. You had another background on the go here. Okay, now the one that I now want to do is I'm going to show, okay, so that was with spray stains. So, okay, Corrine, I don't have spray stains. What can I use instead? Any dye-based ink, no problem. So I'm going to use my distress ink. So I'm doing a combination of reds and blues here, okay? Because I am making Christmas cards and I don't want to use red and green because red and green end up being brown, right? If you, excuse me, sorry, I've got hiccups here. If you watch your color wheel, right? Red and green will make brown, and I'm looking not to make brown. I would prefer to have something that is going to be a nice background, but that I can pop some reds off of, I can pop some greens off of, and those kind of things. But so if I'm doing red and blue, that will give me shades of either reds, blues, and then a purple as well, right? So now I'm just going to take my distress inks. Sorry, I'm not using oxides. I am using distress ink. So I'm using a dye-based ink. Okay, and so now I'm just going to add a little bit of color in varying areas on my mat here. Okay. That to the side, and then I'm going to pull out my candied apple. Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you what colors I was using. Okay, so the blue, the first one that I put down was Salty Ocean. Next one was Prize Ribbon. This one here is Candy Apple. Okay. And then Lumberjack Plaid. So I'm going to do maybe over here and over there. Okay. Now, as with all distress inks, we kind of want to wake them up and get them to move. So I'm going to spray some inks there, or spray some water. So it's just regular water. And now I have a background that I stamped, and the background that I used was this one here. This is by Christina Werner, and it's the Happy Holidays script, right? And it looks beautiful as a background. And I've got just a touch of, oops, schmutz on the card, schmutz on the card. Let's just play with the fingers here. So instead, let's go like that and pull up. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. So pretty. And we're going to drag and put it down. So, and I've got my fingers caught in there. So let's pull it up. Okay, I need some color. Now you can also spritz your photo card. And you can use, now you don't want to use a ton of color, or sorry, a ton of water on your photo paper, but you can use some because photo paper is used to using chemicals, right? That's how they make it. Ooh, that is funky. Look at that. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to put that to the side here. And I've still got quite a bit of color here. So I've got one more. Actually, I have two more. So let me just put that so that I don't end up schmucking the thing. Okay, so let's get this reds. It's red and blue. A little bit of the purple there. Let's let that absorb. A bit more there. Okay. And you can see that some of the colors, because I've added more water, are a little lighter. And that's okay. Let's get that red and the blue in there. And almost this really cool, like lilac and lavender. All right, very nice. Putting that to the side. Now I'm going to wipe this up because I got to do another one here. Go. Now, as I said, your embossing ink, so whatever you've stamped this with, it does need to be dry in order to utilize this, right? So you want to make sure that you've got everything dry. Let's see here. I want to just do, so I want to do more of the lighter colors, blue and the red. Yeah. So Salty Ocean and then the Candied Apple. Let's see what we get there. Candied Apple and Candied Apple. Ooh, got a little bit of red on there. A little bit of blue. Right down the pad. Okay. All right, let's give that a spray. Spritz. And let's let that move through. This is a lot like ink smushing too, right? Like you can just, because essentially that's what we're doing is we're just ink smushing. But you can have so much fun with this. Like it's not a, just play with your colors, get to know your inks, get to know your pads, and then you get these really beautiful backgrounds. And if you didn't want to use like your embossing ink, you could do the same thing to create a background and just have it be really cool colors and swirls and whatever, right? Look at that. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Okay, move these to the side a little bit. Now I'm going to broom for drying. Okay, that one's almost dry, so it's just this. And let's give a spritz. And we're cleaning up. Okay, so ideally I'm trying to keep this video to be quite short today. We'll see how that happens. I just did one earlier today, and it's Thanksgiving weekend for us, so I've got the extra day, so I'm trying to stockpile some videos. Okay, so the one that I'm going to make a card out of is this one here. So I'm going to dry it off a little bit because it is still wet. You can see where it's kind of shining there still. But in order to do that, so I'm going to use my heat it tool again. Now there is a bit of a plastic to photo paper, so you don't want to get your heat tool too close. Like you don't want to bring it right in, you'll burn it or warp it, etc. So these guys, the ones that are off to the side here, I'm just going to leave those to dry on their own. But so that you guys can see basically the, the conception or the idea of, I'm just going to dry this off and we'll have a bit of a play. Let me dry it from the back too. Okay, now, okay, now I want to bring that up. Like, look at the layers. Like, I'm not sure if it's going to show through there. Look at, so I've got some speckling here. I've got like almost like a marbling effect in there. And that's all because we were doing different layers. So usually you have to use like alcohol inks or something like that in order to get that. Or you can do different layers of like ink blending with distress inks and stuff like that. But look at, like, that's just amazing, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's grab a card bling. Let's decide. I've got purple and blue. So let's have a looky here. And I know what size I need to cut it down to. So, okay, so that's off the blue. Doesn't pop nearly as much, right? I think it pops really nicely off the purple. Okay, so I'm going to go with the purple. Do a measure. Alrighty, actually, this color, because we do have the cracked pistachio in there. Oh yeah, I think I like that even better. What do you guys think? Yeah, because if I trim it there, no, no, I like it on the purple. Okay. Whoever that was that was saying, no, no, green, use the purple. You were right. Okay, so this card base then is, let's see, so it is, should be 4 1/4. This is not a Michaels one. This is cardstock. I think this is Stampin' Up! Cardstock that I received at a prop. Very nice, heavy duty. Okay, yeah. So this is going to be a standard A2. So it's 4 1/4, 4 1/4 by 5.5. Okay, so my card front, so this is 4 by 6 already. So the nice thing is I don't have to trim a ton of this off this way. In fact, none of it this way. So I do need to trim a little bit this way. Okay, in order to make it, it needs to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I want a little bit off of the bottom here. So let's go like that. And then the rest of it I want off of there because I like this big snowflake up here. Okay. And perfect. And then if we wanted, no, I think okay, so let's adhere this down to the front. Again, I'm just going to use my Bearly Arts glue adhesive. Oops. Catch that on there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Happy with that. And let's turn that upside down. Squish the adhesive in there. Now we have my new Merry Christmas. Look at, isn't that pretty on there? So I can go there. I do want to keep that big snowflake. So I could do up here. I think I like it right across the center. And then I'm going to pull in some like some gems to put in the centers of the snowflakes there. So I'm just gonna. So this is just a die. I'm pretty sure I ended up getting this from AliExpress. So I don't actually have a name of who this is. So I either got it from Ali or from Temu. And but what's really nice is that it's 2 separate ones. So it's got really cool like script. The Christmas is in script, and then the Merry is in block letters, right? And then it also has the shadow to use with it. So the shadow, because I love the colors behind here, I just wanted to have it. Sorry, I think my head's getting. I just wanted to have it on vellum so that you can see the beautiful colors behind it. And let me pull out my crystals. Crystals. Okay, so the ones that I'm going to use are these iridescent clear crystals from Studio Katia. It's just fun to say. I'm going to, oops, put them out into my bin here. There we go. Sort of going to put that there. Let's get my wax sticky. Okay, so these have, there's a couple of different sizes in here. So I'm putting them up, but look at how much shine they have. They're just beautiful. But there are a couple of different sizes. So there's this one nice, really big one that I'm going to put in the center of that snowflake there. Then some of the smaller ones, I can kind of go around and just catch like the centers of the snowflakes. I think some of these little guys here, like this little guy here. Oops, I just shot it back into my door. Yeah, there. Get these little guys. I'm going to be probably not going to remember to talk to you guys because now I'm more focused about trying to find all the centers of these snowflakes. And I do need one there because that is still on. Yeah, that's upside down. Remember. Okay. Now I'm going to use my. Hopefully, I'm not as twitchy as I was yesterday. Not a good shakes yesterday. No, I'm still twitchy. Mostly because I'm using my left hand. I'm really not left-handed. But I like to place my jewels using my left hand. So now I'm using my the glue press, and it's got I refilled the bottle with my Fairly Arts adhesive, and then this tiny little jewel picker, which is actually, if you guys are looking for, I mean, you can get crafting ones that are quite expensive, or you can also go to like any kind of hair salon that does what do you call it, like has nails. This is actually a nail technician's tool for picking jewels and putting things on. As these little wax pens, right? Who knew? So anyway, you want to save yourself a couple of bucks, because I know a lot of the craft stores, they have them, but the wax can degrade, right? So you're paying a lot of money for something that is not uh well, anyway, you do you, whatever you want. Okay, so before I go and knock these all over the place, because yep, that's what happens. I'm gonna do that and put the little lid on. And this side here. But look it. So we've got this beautiful shine. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to bring in the ones that we've worked on. Okay, I also want to show you the colors that I had done. I found another one that I had done yesterday. So this was a giant 6x6 leaf background stamp that I had. And I did this one in the sprays with like the fossilized amber, lime punch, I think it is, and cracked pistachio, because those are the greens and the yellow that I have in the sprays. And then this was done with the extras, and then like what was left, and it was kind of one shade of green, like a slightly lighter green. And then I put Rustic Wilderness, my ink pad, onto my drink and spritzed it, and then went back in, and that's how I got those really cool darker areas kind of thing. So you could whatever your lightest color, that's going to pick up. So you always want to start lightest to dark, and then sometimes your paper will continue to pull it up. But look at how fine those lines are. Yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes, I mean, I'm pretty good at stamping and things like that, but I can blow them out. Don't always get such a great uh coloring, right? Like a clear lines and stuff. So these are just drying to the side here on a paper towel. And I don't want to get all my new ones all, but here's what we did earlier. So here's the purples. Okay, this is the reds and blues, which is still drying. So it's still drying. This is the cracked pistachio with the purple. So what did I have? I had wilted violet, blueprint sketch, cracked pistachio, and mermaid lagoon. That's what that one was. On here we had, pretty sure this was the last one that I did. So this had um, Salty Ocean and then Candy Apple. And then this one had Salty Ocean, Blueprint Sketch, Candy Apple, and Lumberjack Plaid. So that's and this was the second generation of this, right? When we added more water. But you can see, so you get, first one, you get really like saturated, deep and saturated. Second one, you're going to get a little bit toned down because you've added more water to it. So these won't take that long to dry, because as you can see, I was able to get this done, right? So this is the second generation of this print, basically. So a little bit more muted and pastel because I added more water to it. Bright and vibrant because it was the first generation of the inks. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the technique. So these are all the cards that have been made so far out of the prints that I've made. And I've got these so small. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the class today. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please make sure to put them in the comments down below. Make sure that you comment. I'd love to hear from you. Please keep it kind. Subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.